The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche believed that morality is just a fiction used by the herd of inferior human beings to hold back the few superior men.
Pretty dark stuff, right? But let's be honest. We've all had that moment where we watch someone who breaks every rule climb to the top while good people struggle. That uncomfortable feeling in your gut? It's the suspicion that maybe being good isn't the advantage we were told it would be. Imagine this. You're watching someone who lies, manipulates, and steps on others climb to extraordinary heights of success. Meanwhile, those who play by the rules, work diligently, and maintain their integrity struggle to get ahead. This pattern repeats itself across history, business, and politics, from tyrannical leaders who conquered nations to modern CEOs who built empires through cutthroat tactics. Why does the world seem to reward those who abandon morality? Is virtue a handicap in the race for power? This question haunts us because it challenges our fundamental beliefs about justice. We're taught from childhood that good triumphs over evil, that karma ensures everyone gets what they deserve. Yet reality tells a different story, one where the most ruthless often claim the greatest rewards. Today, we'll explore this disturbing paradox, uncover the shocking truth about karma, and reveal what philosophers like Nietzsche understood about power that most people miss. Picture two ambitious individuals pursuing the same goal. The first follows every rule, considers others' feelings, and waits for recognition. The second bends rules, prioritizes results over relationships, and seizes opportunities without hesitation. In competitive environments, whether corporate boardrooms or political arenas, who typically prevails? Let's get real for a second. We've all seen it happen. The person who cuts corners, takes credit for others' work, and treats people like stepping stones somehow ends up in the corner office. Meanwhile, the honest, hard-working folks who play by the rules often get left behind, wondering what they were doing wrong. This isn't just happening in your workplace or social circle. Look at business empires built on exploitation. Look at political leaders who openly lie yet maintain power. The pattern repeats itself everywhere, and it's enough to make you question whether being good is just, well, stupid. History provides a clear answer. From Alexander the Great to modern business titans, those willing to make difficult decisions without emotional hesitation often rise to positions of influence. This pattern isn't random. It reflects fundamental truths about human nature and power dynamics that most people refuse to acknowledge. Here's something that might shock you. The universe doesn't actually favor positive over negative. The uncomfortable reality, karma, as commonly understood, is largely a comforting myth designed to help us cope with life's injustices. Look around. Does the cruel and selfish always suffer consequences? Do the kind and generous invariably receive rewards? The evidence suggests otherwise. The universe operates according to physical laws, not moral ones. Lightning strikes both saints and sinners. Markets reward effective strategy, not good intentions. Political systems elevate those who master power, not those with the purest hearts. Energy doesn't move in a flat line, it moves up and down. If the universe favored only positive, existence itself would collapse. This doesn't mean we should all become negative, but it does explain why bad behavior isn't automatically punished. The truly shocking aspect of karma isn't that it doesn't exist, it's that it operates on a different timeline and dimension than we expect. It manifests not as divine retribution, but as the inevitable psychological and social consequences of how we engage with power. The ruthless CEO may gain wealth, but lose the capacity for genuine connection. The manipulative politician may win office, but create a legacy of distrust. These aren't supernatural punishments, they're natural outcomes of how different strategies affect our relationships and inner lives. To understand why the ruthless often rise, we need to examine what Friedrich Nietzsche called the master morality versus slave morality, a framework that explains why conventional virtue often fails in the face of raw ambition. Nietzsche observed two distinct moral systems operating throughout history. Master morality, the ethics of the strong, values strength, courage, ambition, and self-determination. Those who embody this morality define good as whatever enhances their power, and bad as whatever diminishes it. They take responsibility for their destiny and view obstacles as challenges to overcome. In contrast, slave morality, developed by those lacking direct power, elevates humility, obedience, and self-sacrifice. It reframes weakness as moral virtue and condemns the pursuit of power as inherently corrupt. This moral system provided psychological comfort to the powerless, but did nothing to change their position. Here's the uncomfortable truth. While most of us are raised with values from slave morality, the world operates according to the principles of master morality. We're taught to wait our turn, share with others, and expect fairness. Yet success often flows to those who create their own opportunities, protect their interests, and recognize that fairness is created, not given. So what actually determines who succeeds? It's about the strength and power of you. When someone has extreme confidence and unwavering belief in what they're doing, whether positive or negative, they're more likely to succeed. A negative person with absolute conviction will often triumph over a positive person with doubt. The strongest energy wins, regardless of its moral quality. That's why we see ruthless, confident people succeeding, while kind, uncertain people struggle. This explains why ruthlessness seems to pay off. When someone doesn't care about rules or other people's feelings, they have access to shortcuts the rest of us don't use. While you're considering the ethical implications of a decision, they've already acted. While you're making sure everyone gets credit, they're taking it all for themselves. Think about it like a race, where some runners stay in their lanes while others cut across the field. Of course, the rule breakers get there faster. They're playing a completely different game. What drives certain individuals to pursue power at any cost? Psychological research reveals common traits among those who rise to dominance: high ambition, low fear sensitivity, and, perhaps most controversially, reduced empathy toward competitors. There's something else going on too. Research shows that certain personality traits, like reduced empathy and heightened self-interest, actually help people climb hierarchies. I'm not saying all leaders are sociopaths, but these traits create a pathway to power that's well-traveled. The most ruthless among us don't waste energy on guilt or second-guessing. They sleep like babies after decisions that would keep the rest of us up at night. That psychological freedom gives them an edge. This doesn't mean that all successful people are psychopaths. Rather, certain psychological traits create advantages in competitive environments. Those unburdened by excessive guilt, fear of rejection, or decision paralysis can act decisively when others hesitate. In environments where resources are limited and competition fierce, these traits become evolutionary advantages. Consider how predators survive in nature, not through fairness or kindness, but through effective strategy and decisive action. Human society, beneath its civilized veneer, operates on similar principles. Those who understand this reality gain an edge over those who cling to idealistic notions about how the world should work. Imagine standing at a crossroads. Behind you lies conventional morality with its comforting illusions. Ahead lies a path few dare to walk, one requiring you to create your own values rather than inheriting them from society. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch represents the individual who transcends traditional morality to forge their own path. Unlike the ruthless who exploit others out of insecurity, the Übermensch acts from internal strength. They don't need external validation because their power comes from within. This is the crucial distinction. While the worst people may succeed temporarily through manipulation and force, they remain slaves to external validation. The Übermensch succeeds by creating value, not just taking it, building something greater than themselves rather than merely dominating others. The Übermensch understands that power itself isn't evil. It's how we use that power that matters. Power can create or destroy, liberate or oppress. The question isn't whether to pursue power, but what kind of power to pursue and how to wield it. So how do we navigate a world that often rewards ruthlessness without becoming what we despise? The answer lies in understanding power as a tool rather than a moral category. First, abandon the illusion that life should be fair. It isn't and never was. The strongest competitors accept this early, focusing their energy on mastering the game rather than complaining about its rules. Second, develop strategic empathy. the ability to understand others' motivations without being manipulated by them. This allows you to anticipate moves, recognize deception, and navigate complex situations without becoming exploitative yourself. Third, cultivate internal power, the courage to face discomfort, take calculated risks, and stand alone when necessary. Most people are controlled by fear. Those who master themselves gain freedom others can't imagine. Fourth, distinguish between mindless ruthlessness and strategic decisiveness. The former destroys without purpose. The latter makes difficult choices in service of greater goals. Sometimes power requires setting boundaries, ending relationships, or making unpopular decisions, actions that may seem harsh but serve a higher purpose. Finally, focus on creation rather than exploitation. The ruthless often rise quickly but fall just as fast because their power depends on taking from others. True power comes from building something valuable, whether a business, an idea, or a community that continues generating strength long after the initial effort. Power itself isn't evil, it's neutral, a force that can heal or harm depending on who wields it and why. What Nietzsche understood was that power becomes corrupting when pursued from weakness, from insecurity, fear, or the need to dominate others to feel significant. But power pursued from strength, from the desire to create, to overcome limitations, to transform potential into reality, becomes something entirely different. It becomes the force that builds civilizations, creates art, advances knowledge, and improves lives. The worst people succeed because they understand power's mechanics while the virtuous often don't. They recognize that power must be claimed, not granted, but their success remains limited because they use power to take rather than create, to dominate rather than transform. Look, the success of unethical people isn't proof that we should abandon our principles. It's a wake-up call that being good isn't enough. We need to be good, confident, and strategic. The universe may not favor the positive, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't choose it. We just need to bring the same level of conviction and power to our positive choices that negative people bring to their destructive ones. The true masters of power aren't those who control others, but those who control themselves, who define their own values, pursue their own vision, and create something meaningful in a world that offers no guarantees. So yes, sometimes the bad guys win battles, but with strategy, resilience, and unwavering belief in our path, good people can create the success they deserve and enjoy a journey with more smiles and love along the way. If this exploration of power and success has challenged your assumptions and sparked deeper questions about how to navigate life's complexities, subscribe to our channel for more philosophical insights translated into practical wisdom. Like this video, share it with someone struggling with these questions, and join us next time as we continue exploring the hidden truths behind life's greatest challenges.